Hello and welcome back to the Happy Healthy Nurse video training series. Firstly, thank you for all the comments and questions that have come from nurses all over the world in reaction to the first video. I'm thrilled so many people are finding the series is helping nurses reduce stress, find some work-life balance and take a bit of time for self-care. In particular, I have to thank the lovely nurse who spoke up and answered a question for me. Someone came through and asked if these videos qualified for professional development points. And I replied that because this series is literally being watched all around the world, you'd have to check in with your own country. But thank you to the lovely nurse who answered for me and said, I don't care if it doesn't count for official points, neither does buckling your seatbelt, walking 5 miles or finishing your broccoli. Thank you, Kerry. I love it when nurses cut straight to the point, and that's what this video is all about. Sticking to those health goals we set ourselves, then give up on when our life gets a bit too hectic. I'm going to share my top 3 ways to stick to our healthier habits, and I mentioned in the previous video that I'm going to totally bust the idea that all you need is positive thinking. Later on I'm going to explain how scientific evidence has proven that in some circumstances thinking positively can actually destroy your chances of sticking to your health goals. So, welcome to the second video. If you haven't yet, please make sure you watch the first in the series. In it we talked about the idea that there are 2 paths we can choose when attempting to deal with the natural stresses and emotional impact that are part and parcel of nursing. We looked at this slide. You cannot calm the storm, so stop trying. What you can do is calm yourself. The storm will pass. And we talked about how powerless we end up feeling when we try to calm the storm, that is, when we decide to make the health and happiness we feel in our heart depend on our roster, our colleagues, our manager, our weekly wage, or anything else out there. If we make our happiness dependent on anything external, we're riding the emotional roller coaster of letting our colleagues, our patients and other people, organisations decide whether we are happy and healthy. And that means we're signing up for a lifetime of stress, bad backs, grinding teeth, low energy levels, nervous tension, headaches and short-term fixes like the addictive avoidance strategies of smoking, shopping and eating badly, which we nurses know lead to all those chronic diseases we see in our patients. Heart disease, depression, anxiety, diabetes, etc. Oh my God, just saying that sounds dreadfully bleak, absolutely exhausting, and as I found out with my back, it can be incredibly expensive. Or the other path we can choose is to work on ourselves, learn more about how our own bodies and minds work best, and invest the time now on the choice of calming ourselves, and realising that because all pain is felt in here and in here, this is where we have to work on to be a happy, healthy nurse. Back in the first video, I asked you to stop for a minute and get in touch with that awesome intuition that all nurses have for their patients and use it to look at your own life. I got you to pick one particular aspect of health and happiness you would like to work on. One thing that would really make a difference. If you haven't seen video 1 yet, pop back and watch it now. Or quickly, just pick one health goal you'd like to work on. Because for these next 2 videos, I'm going to be zeroing in on how we can start and commit to keeping those health and happiness goals that help us calm our reaction to the storm, even when our roster is all over the place, our nursing shifts are hectic, and our family life seems out of control. Then we can begin taking charge of our own well-being and start developing a healthy energy level that our family and spouse will love, and building up an inner calm and confidence that even the worst shift from hell cannot touch. When I'm getting emails and messages from around the world, many nurses say they totally get how important it is to work on their own health and happiness. They set themselves goals again and again to spend some time on self-care. But it all falls down in the face of their day-to-day reality. Nurses tell me again and again that they spend their days helping patients stick to their new health regimes, gently chastising them and helping them get back on track to their healthier habits, but then go away and drink, smoke and eat their stress away. So in this video, I'm going to be running through my 3 top bits of advice, all based on enormous amounts of scientific research on how to keep our goals, and keep watching because my number 3 tip is why positive thinking can actually be incredibly bad for sticking to those health goals we set for ourselves. We need high energy levels for our patients. We need high energy levels so that our family don't just get the dregs of what's left after our shift. And we need it for ourselves. So once we've listened to our intuition and chosen that one thing we really need to work on first, what are the things we can do to really stick to our plans and stay with the program? Goal sticking strategy number 1. Set specific, difficult goals. This is quite possibly something you've heard before, but it's so important I'm going to put it in here anyway. Two incredibly well-respected psychologists, Edwin Locke and Gary Latham, have spent decades studying how setting specific difficult goals is far more effective than saying, "I'll do my best." In fact, they've actually done what's called a meta-study, where they looked at the results of over 1,000 studies done across the globe, which proved putting down exactly what you want to achieve as specifically as possible and making that thing difficult enough to inspire you will give you much better results than being wishy-washy. So for example, do not say, "I'm going to lose weight," or "I could really drop a few pounds." Get out a piece of paper and write down, for example, "By the 14th of December, I'm going to lose 40 pounds. And research has shown you have to challenge yourself a bit. So if you put down, "I'm going to lose 5 pounds in 6 months, we don't really try. Don't say, "I'm going to exercise more" either. Write down, "Every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, I'm going to get up at 6 a.m. and do that 20-minute walk around the lake." I think I knew this intuitively for ages. There is a book called Alan Carr's Easy Way to Quit Smoking, and in the very first chapter it says, by the time you finish this book, you will have quit smoking. Well, I closed the book, put it on the shelf, and didn't pick it up again for 3 years. I wasn't serious or ready to give up. So maybe pause this video for a moment and write down or just have a think about what your new health and happiness goals could be in specific time-limited terms. And as I mentioned, research has shown that making it difficult enough to get your juices flowing actually makes it more likely you'll succeed. Goal sticking strategy number 2. Do you need to think what or why? Following on from number 1, if you had a goal of lose 40 pounds by December 14th, there are 2 ways you could describe what you actually had to do. You could say, "I need to walk every Monday, Wednesday and Friday and only eat sugary foods on the weekend so that I lose 40 pounds. That's what you need to do. Or you could say, "I need to lose 40 pounds so that I get healthy to handle my job and still have energy left for my spouse and kids when I get home." This is describing why you're doing it. In her groundbreaking book on goals called Succeed, researcher and author Heidi Grant Halverson describes that if a goal is something new for you, or if it is complex or mentally difficult to achieve, as in it requires a lot of concentration, like learning a new gym class, taking swimming lessons, learning a skill like meditation, nursing, it's best to focus on all the tiny steps you need to take to get the job done and not think too much about the big picture. So when you're sitting down to meditate, don't think about how meditation will help you deal with all your stress and how you need to handle your stress much better because your work is making you go crazy and you're taking it out on your kids and, or is that just me? This doesn't help. If something is new and feels a bit difficult or overwhelming, you just need to think about what the tiny steps of what you have to do. That's why those meal planners and companies that deliver food in pre-packed meals can help in the short term of weight loss, because they take the decision process out of it, deciding what to cook, and you just have to let the plan run your day. However, if something is hard from a motivational sense, if you're feeling down and losing the willpower to keep going, then it's good to look at the reasons why you are trying for your goal in the first place. So if your new health regime is getting you down, you're being tempted by the dessert trolley, or you're on a big walk and feeling your energy levels are flagging and you fancy a bit of chocolate, then it's time to think why. So get out that bit of paper where you wrote down, "I need to drop 40 pounds because my family needs me to have enough energy to be fully with them when I come home from my long day. I want a happy, healthy life with my husband and enough energy left on days off to do the things I really enjoy." If something is hard up here in your brain, break it down into little pieces and think about what you have to do. If something is hard in here, your heart, you're lacking motivation, think about why you're doing it. I used this what or why thinking when I was putting this course together for you. My goal was to put together a series of videos that would help nurses, particularly those who are struggling at the moment, start giving their own health and happiness the priority it needs and deserves. To keep me motivated, I'd think about how many nurses I could help avoid the pain of burnout that I went through. And I had a vision in my mind of nurses handling their shift from health far better than I did when I was in emergency. But when I was actually sitting down with my tech department, aka my husband Marty, we just concentrated on learning the nitty-gritty of how to create these web pages, how to put the little Facebook like icon down below, how to load up the videos, the inch-by-inch, step-by-step process of building the course. If we'd sat in front of the computer saying, "Right, let's help nurses avoid burnout," it would have been totally overwhelming and I would have run away screaming. So when you're thinking of motivation and need to boost your energy, think about why you're going after a goal. When you're in the moment doing the step-by-step process to achieve it, break it down into tiny chunks and think, what do I have to do? As I promised in the first video, now I'm going to bust open some of the myths about goal setting and positive thinking. Goal sticking strategy number 3. The power and the pitfalls of positive thinking. I believe understanding when to think positively and when it can actually sabotage you is the biggest shift in goal setting to emerge in recent years. If you've been exposed to any type of goal setting program before, you've almost certainly heard time and time again that to achieve, you have to think positively. You could fill an enormous sized bookcase full of books that tell you all you have to do is believe in yourself. Go for it. Just visualize yourself having already achieved your goal and it will happen. But in recent times, researchers have realized there are 2 different types of thinking positively. For example, if you're trying to lose the 40 pounds by December 14th, there are 2 ways you could use positive thinking. 1, you could be incredibly positive about your chances of losing the weight. That is, you could say to yourself, I know I can shift those pounds and I'm confident I can reach my goal. Number 2, you could be incredibly positive about how easy it will be to overcome the obstacles to losing weight. You could say to yourself, I have a will of iron and I will easily ignore temptations like French fries, chocolate, and even my absolute favourite, cinnamon buns. What's more, it doesn't matter how busy my life is, it will be easy to stick to my exercise plan. Most of the books in the self-help section of the bookstore or Amazon these days put both these types of positive thinking in the same basket. But research has shown that this is a huge mistake. The first type of positive thinking, believing deeply within yourself that you truly can achieve your goal, is incredibly important and is the type of positive thinking you really must work on before you commit. But the second kind of positive thinking, believing it will be incredibly easy to reach your goal and that you'll be able to avoid temptation with the barest minimum of effort, is actually one of the biggest mistakes you can make. Time and time again in strictly scientific studies, the people who were more successful at reaching their goals were those who, 1, truly believed they could do it, 2, understood that there will be times when it is very, very hard, but they resolved to push on regardless. So if, for example, you want to quit smoking, it's great to believe you can do it and picture yourself healthier, coughing less with a new outfit you bought with all the money you saved from not buying the cigarettes. But don't kid yourself and say, I believe in myself, so giving up smoking is going to be easy peasy. I can still go out to bars with all my friends who smoke. When they offer me a cigarette, even if I had a few glasses of wine, it'll still be easy to say no. In one study of women who were trying to lose weight, conducted by psychologist Gabrielle Oettingen, the difference between those who believed it would be hard compared to those who believed they'd find it easy to resist temptation was huge. Those who thought realistically about how difficult it would be at times lost 24 pounds more than the women who told themselves it would be easy. So, if you want to stick to your goals, positive thinking is massively important, but you need to think positively about the chances of succeeding while also thinking realistically about the fact that at times changing habits and sticking to your new goals will be incredibly hard. So to sum up all 3 of these tips, if your goal was to drop some weight, step 1, don't be wishy-washy and say, I need to lose a few pounds. Set yourself a specific goal like, I will lose 40 pounds by Christmas. Step 2, if your goal is something difficult intellectually or you're learning a new skill, concentrate on what you have to do. If your goal is something difficult motivationally or your willpower is wearing down, concentrate on why you're trying to achieve your goal in the first place. And the big one, step 3, think positively about your chances of success. Know deep within you that you can reach your goal, as this will help. Think realistically about how difficult sticking to your goal will be. Don't kid yourself it'll be easy, and ironically, this makes it much more likely you'll succeed. I hope these 3 tips help you start believing you can achieve the goal you set yourself after listening to your superb nursing intuition in video number 1. You can stick to your plan of looking after yourself better, which will give you the strength and inner calm you need to walk through any storm that nursing can throw at you and survive with your health and happiness intact. When you're looking after yourself, that heartbreaking patient seems to be something you can handle. When you're working on your own inner reserves, you'll find it easier to keep your peace of mind in the face of a bullying colleague or a cranky doctor. When you have more energy from exercising and eating well, Suddenly you'll find you're on the way home to your spouse or family and not heading straight to the pub straight after work. Please leave a comment below and let me know how you're going with your health and happiness goals. What from today's video stood out for you as the most helpful point? What do you have to do differently? And what is your big why to keep you going when it feels so hard? How did that new research on positive thinking change how you will be approaching your health and happiness from now on? If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask, as I'll be monitoring this page and answering everyone as soon as I possibly can. So keep a lookout in your inbox for the link to my next video, where we're going to look at how we can keep our commitment to looking after ourselves in those really difficult times, when we're tired after a shift, particularly a shift from hell. We'll look at the techniques nurses all over the world have told me they use to avoid constant worry on their days off, by making sure they get to debrief, de-stress and leave work at work. So until next time, thank you for watching. Please share these videos with your colleagues and keep working to make sure you're a healthy, happy nurse.